In a jaw-dropping twist that has sent shockwaves through Westminster, the United Kingdom faces a constitutional crisis unlike anything in modern history. The Supreme Court has delivered a historic and unprecedented verdict that could spell the end of Keir Starmer's tenure as Prime Minister. Allegations of financial misconduct, deliberate opacity, and breaches of the ministerial code have thrust the nation into chaos. Parliament is in turmoil, the public is enraged, and political allies are scrambling for answers. This is not just another political scandal, it is a full-scale reckoning that challenges the very foundations of government authority and accountability. The question on everyone's mind, can Starmer survive this seismic blow, or has his political career already ended? The Supreme Court's decision, released only hours ago, has exposed a staggering pattern of alleged financial misconduct at the highest levels of government. Central to the controversy is a £124,000 discrepancy connected to the undervaluation of a North London property owned by Starmer's family. Initially dismissed as a minor technical irregularity, the issue quickly escalated when independent auditors flagged the sale as deliberately structured to conceal profits and avoid parliamentary disclosure. According to legal experts, the undervaluation was no accident. It formed part of a calculated scheme to obscure financial gains from public scrutiny. The breach of parliamentary rules, failure to declare profits in the official register of interests alone would have sparked serious concerns, but investigations revealed much more. Additional findings included a £39,000 luxury gift from a significant legal donor that went undisclosed for over a year, offshore dealings linked to shell companies in Jersey and the Cayman Islands, and luxury foreign trips disguised as research visits. Each revelation added layers to what now appears as a deliberate effort to mislead Parliament and the public. Chief Justice Dame Sue Carr did not mince words in her ruling, stating that the Prime Minister had failed the ethical standards required of his office and betrayed public trust. This is the first instance in modern British history where a sitting Prime Minister has been legally directed to step down by the judiciary, a moment that will be remembered as a defining point in the nation's political narrative. The implications extend far beyond Westminster. Ministers are scrambling to understand the ramifications, advisors are hastily drafting statements, and the media is ablaze with speculation. Opposition leaders have seized upon the ruling immediately. Conservative MPs have called for an urgent vote of no confidence, while Reform UK leader Nigel Farage has demanded an emergency general election, asserting that Starmer has forfeited his moral and political legitimacy. Even within Labour, divisions are widening. Shadow ministers reportedly debate resigning unless Starmer relinquishes power voluntarily, and whispers of factional rebellion suggest the party could fracture under the weight of this crisis. Public reaction has been instantaneous and ferocious. Protesters have gathered outside Westminster, chanting for Starmer's resignation and calling for a restoration of integrity in government. Social media has erupted with hashtags like #StarmerResign and #ConstitutionalCrisis trending across platforms. The sense of betrayal resonates across the nation, as voters struggle to reconcile to the image of a leader once praised for integrity with the unfolding allegations of deception and concealment. Editorials from leading newspapers, spanning the political spectrum, demand accountability, portraying this as one of the gravest ethical breaches by a sitting Prime Minister in British history. The BBC, maintaining its hallmark neutrality, described the verdict as a judicial bombshell, noting the historical significance of the ruling. Inside Number 10, the atmosphere is one of panic and uncertainty. Advisors are reportedly working around the clock to explore potential legal avenues and prepare emergency communications, but the scope of the scandal leaves few options. Starmer himself remains largely silent, refusing to issue a public statement or press conference. His silence has intensified the crisis, leading to speculation about whether he intends to challenge the ruling or delay his departure. Despite the Supreme Court's clear mandate, legal experts, however, assert that the court acted well within its jurisdiction, emphasizing that breaches of the ministerial code and failures to declare financial interests squarely fall under the judiciary's authority to demand corrective action. Constitutional scholars highlight that the ruling, while historic, sets a precedent affirming the primacy of ethical conduct and accountability at the highest levels of government. The political ramifications are immediate and far-reaching. The Labour Party faces internal chaos as MPs and union leaders confront the possibility of a leadership vacuum. Reform UK and the Conservatives are positioning themselves to capitalise on the disarray. with poll numbers indicating rising support for both parties amidst public dissatisfaction. Intelligence agencies have reportedly begun parallel investigations into links between undisclosed donations and international entities, raising concerns about potential foreign influence on UK political decision-making. If substantiated, these findings could escalate the crisis into an issue of national security, further intensifying pressure on Starmer to resign. Every hour of inaction deepens the crisis, amplifying public outrage and undermining confidence in government institutions. The Supreme Court ruling has shattered the political calm, thrusting Britain into uncharted constitutional territory. The public is demanding answers, the opposition is mobilizing, and the once stable structures of governance are teetering under pressure. Starmer's silence, the magnitude of the allegations, and the scale of political fallout have created a perfect storm of uncertainty. With Parliament on edge, protests escalating, and international scrutiny intensifying, the fate of Keir Starmer hangs in the balance. What was once a respected political career now faces an existential threat, and the question remains, will he resign voluntarily, or will history force his removal? The fallout from the Supreme Court's verdict has intensified at every level of British politics. Inside Westminster, panic and confusion dominate. Civil servants in Whitehall are reportedly drawing up contingency plans for a caretaker government, an unprecedented move in modern times. Cabinet ministers, traditionally insulated from public outrage, are scrambling to navigate the rapidly deteriorating situation. Meanwhile, Labour's inner circle faces unprecedented turmoil. Senior party officials describe an environment of disarray, with MPs privately discussing exit strategies and contingency plans should Starmer refuse to step down. Reports suggest that at least a dozen shadow ministers are contemplating resignations, and even Labour-aligned unions are growing impatient, pressing for accountability and immediate action. The party that once projected unity and moral leadership is now on the brink of fragmentation. The public response has been immediate and overwhelming. Protests have erupted across major cities, with tens of thousands of demonstrators flooding streets from London to Manchester, demanding Starmer's resignation. Slogans like "The Court has spoken" and "Justice for Britain" dominate placards and chants. Social media amplifies the unrest, with hashtags such as #Starmer, Resign, and #Constitutional Crisis trending worldwide. Polling data reflects a sharp decline in public confidence. 72% of Britons now believe Starmer must resign immediately, and nearly half of Labour voters agree. Editorial boards across the media spectrum, from conservative to liberal outlets, have published scathing critiques of the Prime Minister's conduct. Even journalists traditionally sympathetic to Labour are describing the scandal as catastrophic, marking a rare moment of bipartisan condemnation. The international ramifications are equally significant. Britain's credibility as a stable democracy is under threat, with foreign investors expressing concern over the unfolding crisis. European leaders are reportedly reconsidering trade negotiations until the political uncertainty is resolved, while the United States State Department issued a statement urging adherence to the rule of law and a swift resolution. Intelligence agencies, including MI5, are investigating potential links between undisclosed donations and international entities seeking influence over UK policy. These inquiries suggest the crisis may extend beyond domestic politics, creating the potential for serious implications for national security and the country standing on the global stage. Keir Starmer's response, or lack thereof, has fueled the growing sense of urgency. His continued silence is widely interpreted as defiance, yet legal experts emphasize that constitutional authority leaves him little room to maneuver. Former Supreme Court President Lord David Neuberger stated that refusal to comply with a lawful order undermines both moral and legal legitimacy. The longer Starmer delays, the deeper the damage to public trust, parliamentary credibility, and the Labour Party's internal cohesion. Every passing hour without action magnifies the crisis, leaving the nation teetering on the edge of political and constitutional uncertainty. This moment is a pivotal test of British democracy, transparency, and accountability. Institutions that have long ensured stability are being challenged as never before, and the eyes of the world remain fixed on London, with Parliament in turmoil, protest escalating, and political rivals positioning themselves to exploit the chaos. One thing is certain, the fall of Keir Starmer is no longer hypothetical. It is unfolding in real time, reshaping the nation's political landscape and testing the limits of constitutional authority. The political earthquake triggered by the Supreme Court's ruling continues to ripple through every corner of the United Kingdom. Within Labour, anxiety has given way to outright panic. High-ranking officials and backbenchers alike are reportedly engaging in emergency discussions, weighing options to salvage party credibility and avoid a total collapse. Some shadow ministers are preparing formal letters of resignation, while others are quietly exploring alliances with opposition parties should Starmer remain in office. Even Labour-aligned unions, once staunch defenders of the Prime Minister, are voicing frustration, emphasising the need for accountability and ethical leadership. Sources suggest that the internal fractures are widening daily, with no consensus on how to manage the crisis. The party faces a choice between enforcing Starmer's resignation to preserve its reputation or risking a public implosion that could reshape British politics for years to come. Outside the confines of Westminster, public outrage is escalating. Massive protests are now a daily occurrence in London, Manchester, Birmingham, and Glasgow. Demonstrators are increasingly coordinated, organising through social media channels to amplify their message. Slogans calling for immediate resignation and government transparency dominate the streets, reflecting widespread anger and a growing demand for justice. Polls indicate a historic collapse in public confidence. 72% of the population believe Starmer should resign immediately, including a significant portion of his own Labour base. Media coverage, both domestic and international, emphasises the unprecedented nature of the crisis, highlighting how a sitting Prime Minister has been publicly and legally condemned by the judiciary. Editorials from outlets across the political spectrum uniformly underscore that the Supreme Court's decision represents not just a political challenge, but a profound test of constitutional governance. Internationally, the ramifications are becoming increasingly severe. Britain's credibility as a stable democracy is under intense scrutiny. Foreign investors have expressed alarm at the sudden instability, prompting speculation that economic confidence could be shaken if the crisis persists. Diplomatic channels are reportedly monitoring developments closely, with European leaders reassessing trade negotiations until the political situation clarifies. Intelligence services, including MI5 and the Cabinet Office, have reportedly launched investigations into connections between Starmer's undisclosed financial donors and international entities. These inquiries raise the possibility that foreign influence may have played a role in domestic political decision-making, adding another layer of urgency to an already explosive situation. Should these findings be substantiated, the scandal could evolve from a domestic political crisis into a significant national security concern, further compounding pressure on Starmer and his advisors. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's silence remains one of the most striking elements of the unfolding drama. Starmer has not delivered a formal statement, press conference, or apology. His aides suggest he is considering legal options, yet constitutional experts argue that there is no mechanism to circumvent the Supreme Court's directive. Former judges and legal authorities emphasize that compliance with the ruling is not optional, and that defiance could irreparably damage both personal credibility and the integrity of parliamentary institutions. The longer Starmer delays, the more entrenched public anger becomes, with each hour deepening political uncertainty. Parliament remains on edge, opposition leaders are mobilising, and the Labour Party's internal cohesion continues to unravel. The nation now faces a critical juncture. Leadership, integrity, and public trust hang in the balance as one of the most dramatic constitutional crises in modern British history unfolds. Every institution, from the courts to Parliament, from the media to the streets, is engaged in this unprecedented moment. The fall of Keir Starmer is no longer theoretical. It is real, tangible, and escalating with each passing day. Britain stands at a crossroads, and the choices made in the coming hours could determine not only the future of one politician, but the trajectory of the nation itself.